viewers, welcome back to this new episode on script writing. This is episode number 27, and in this particular episode we will discuss how to write scripts for a television soap or television fiction series. So we have with us in the studio two students very passionate about filmmaking. Abhishek Bhadra, who has just completed semester 6 in media science from ILEED College, Kolkata, and Shayantun Mukherjee, who has just completed semester 4 in media science from ILEED College. Before writing a script for soaps and serials, you have to have a basic understanding of the medium of television. Okay, because television is a medium which is in many ways it's similar to cinema because it's an audiovisual medium, but in many ways it's very different from cinema, and that is something you have to have some clarity on before you start writing anything for television. First thing is, how do we watch a movie in a movie hall, and how do we watch a movie, or how do you watch anything on television? Now, when we go to a movie hall, we pay, we buy the ticket, we enter the dark movie hall, and all our attention is on the screen, whatever is happening in front of us on the screen. So we give our full attention to it, and there is no distraction. Alright, and the images that come on the screen are larger than life. They are very good quality images, larger than life, they are hypnotic, and we are drawn into the world of the cinema. Whereas when we are watching television, it is on a small screen which is usually in your living room, and the lights are on, people are working, maybe the calling bell is ringing, and the in other corner of the house the pump is running, so all kinds of sounds, all kinds of distractions. So you never give your full attention to whatever is happening on television. So we may say that while we gaze at the movie screen, we glance at the TV screen. Okay, it can grab only a part of our attention, not our full attention. So this is one important difference. Now, cinema is an image-driven medium because the movie images are larger than life and good quality images. So therefore, the images are very powerful. So that's why cinema is an image-driven medium, and cinema has actually graduated, it has evolved from being silent. Okay, so in its early years, cinema learned to express itself completely through visuals, whereas television has evolved from radio. It is like a visible radio. So that is why television today is, even today I am saying television is an audio-driven medium. Even though it's an audio-visual medium, but it's an audio-driven medium because the audio plays a more important role in television. Now, television image cannot hold our attention for very long because the image is smaller in size, and it is the image quality is not as good as cinema. Even though there is a lot of research going on to HD TV, which is much better than SD TV, that is standard definition TV, that was there even 5 to 7 years back. Okay, so television is also trying to catch up with cinema, but still it hasn't yet caught up with cinema. So because the image quality is poorer, so you cannot hold on to one single image for too long. So therefore, the editing pattern has to be adjusted accordingly, so that there is a rapid change in the images. Then the next thing is, the world of cinema is self-contained. Okay, what does it mean that the world of cinema is self-contained? When you go to a movie hall and the movie begins, you get totally absorbed in the world of the cinema. You forget about everything else around you, and then at the end of the movie, when the lights come on, you come back to your own world with a kind of jerk. And in those 1.5, 2 or 3 hours, that entire narrative gets completed, it reaches a certain conclusion, and it's a well-rounded, complete narrative that is presented to you in the span of that screen time, whatever that screen time be, when you go to watch a movie. So it's a self-contained world. Whereas the world of cinema, world of television is an extension of our lived world, because it is in our living room, whatever is happening all around us, that we are seeing live on television, okay, and it is like it's like a window to our world. Alright, so therefore there is this element of that immediacy or liveness to television. Means whatever we are watching on television, we have the impression that we are watching it live. Alright. Now there is a historical reason for that also, and that is that television in its early years was actually live. Even the advertisements also used to come on live, and everything was live. Even quiz contests, drama, news, definitely everything was live, whatever people watched on television. Then this recording technology was developed, and magnetic tapes, the technology of magnetic tapes was perfected, and we started having pre-recorded programs. But still the audience, it remained at the back of the mind of the audience that television is live. And television people also kept up that illusion that whatever is coming on television, it as if it is live. Then the next thing, that in a movie hall you are a passive voyeur. You are quietly prying into other people's lives. Whereas in television, in most of the programs, the participants are directly addressing the camera, the anchor is addressing the camera direct. So there is an eye contact between the viewer and the television person. The newsreader is looking at the camera and saying the news. So there is this direct address, which is not there in cinema. In cinema, nobody looks at the camera and speaks. And in television, the television anchors, presenters, etc., they are taught to look at the camera and speak. So television is a direct address medium. Then in terms of how cinema earns its revenue and how television earns its revenue, there is a big difference. That cinema earns its revenue through sale of tickets. Then of course selling satellite rights and music rights, etc. Whereas television channels, they earn their revenue through advertisement. That means there is an attempt to make the program very popular so that the ratings are high, and higher the ratings, more are the chances of getting advertisements, and more the rates of advertisements are raised. If the ratings go higher, the advertisement rates are also raised, and that's how the television channels make money. Let's come to image construction for television. Now, because the television screen is small, so it is, we play mainly with medium close-ups and close-ups. Too much use of long shot is not encouraged, because then it's not impressive enough. It doesn't hold attention, a long shot on a television screen. And similarly, the composition has to be, it should not be cluttered with too many details, because too many details again are likely to get lost in that small screen. Alright, so the composition has to be minimalist, the image size has to be mainly medium close-ups, maximum medium shots. The lighting has to be, there has to be ample light and uniform light. Then editing has to be faster, because the image per se cannot hold your attention for too long. So the editing has to be faster. Things have to be happening on the screen all the time. And the visuals have to be propped up by an audio track. You do not have silent patches when you are watching television. Suddenly everything is going silent and it's an overpowering image, everybody is looking at the image. That never happens on television. Something or the other is always there on the audio track. Either an explanatory note or the signature tune or some sound effect to bring you back to television. So that's why we say that television is an audio driven medium. Now television, anybody can switch on anytime. Okay, there is no guarantee that everybody will start from the beginning of the program, although that is desirable, but there is no guarantee. Okay, so in order to make sure that you don't lose your audience, so what the scriptwriters and the programmers, what they have to do is, they have to weave in these reinforcements and recaps into the body of the program. In terms of soaps and serials, who is whose uncle or who is whose cousin. If somebody tunes in, supposing somebody has not seen a couple of episodes and then begins seeing from the third episode, he should not get lost. Okay, so in every episode, those relationships or whatever the key aspects of that particular serial, they have to be reinforced in some way or the other. Either in a recap in the beginning of the program, okay, or in between through the dialogue dialogue, you remind the viewer that, okay, this is the relationship between them. Okay, so these reinforcements and recaps have to be woven in. So then narrative pattern is simple and formula driven. You cannot do too much experimentation on television. Television is a medium that follows strict conventions. It doesn't encourage experimentation. Okay, because people don't want to take risk. Understood? So, because then once they lose the audience, it's gone. Then it will be very difficult to get back the audience. Okay, so that's why if they hit a good formula, winning formula, they try to repeat it. They try to replicate that formula.
So experimentation in TV is a bit rare then.
Experimentation is rare, and
in India,
it's not that experimentation doesn't happen. Well, you are saying in India experimentation is rare, but Rozgare Ginni, yes, Rozgare Ginni is one program that is basically of Indian. One Bengali gentleman came up with the concept, and it was quite a hit. Okay, so he again understood that what television does to people, how people relate to television, and he devised
the role of the audience participating.
Participation.
They felt that it is more comfortable to them. They felt like they are also part of the show. The show became a family hit.
Exactly. Okay, so it's not that experimentation doesn't happen in India, but then there are so many other hit serials that have already happened that they find the easy way out. Okay, we buy the franchise and we copy that. Okay, so that is the inclination of the producers. Anyway, and then program structure has to follow a set pattern, and then soaps and serials are ongoing sagas. You know, there isn't a closure. The closure comes very, very late after so many episodes. Ongoing saga. You are eager what will happen next week or what will happen the next day. So the closures are not there. Alright, but at the same time, the narrative structure is fragmented. It is teeming with characters. There are lots of characters that are introduced, and all those characters have their own personal trajectories, very complex stories, full of drama and full of coincidence and all that. Okay, but the telling is made simple by fragmenting it into smaller segments. So within one episode also you have this commercial breaks. Using commercial breaks you create fragments, and each episode itself is a fragment. Okay, so like that, so by fragmenting it, you actually simplify the storytelling. Okay, and these characters, because they come to your drawing room, appear in your drawing room, I wouldn't say come to your drawing room, appear in your drawing room every week or every day, so there is a familiarity that is generated. So much so, common person begins to believe that whatever that character is portraying is actually him.
Yeah.
You know, they become popular, they become stars by dint of the characters they portray.
Yeah,
their
like
screen persona.
Still known as
and
Tulsi in
still
every
known
household.
as Tulsi, yeah, exactly. Okay, because day after day she appeared in every home as Tulsi.
Yeah.
So for everybody she is Tulsi.
Still Tulsi.
And so, yeah. Now this teeming with characters, I said. Now what kind of characters? So that is something, सोचने की बात है कि what kind of characters do you encounter in these soaps? Okay, now normally the characters that you encounter are ambitious, highly individualistic and upwardly mobile, and nowadays of course upper class also, financially.
But it does differ from regional to regional. For example, in the Hindi television soaps, the characters are mostly dependent, sometimes dependent individual, very upper class, whereas in the Bengali series they are medium class family or extremely upper class family.
There is obviously a reason behind that, because the television serials are funded by sponsors, and the sponsors would like eventually their product to be sold. So obviously the sponsors are trying to target their buyer group through these serials. Okay, if the serial doesn't cater to their buyer group, then they are not interested in sponsoring that serial. So that is why this always this thing for upper class is there. Okay, and also very, very individualistic, ambitious. You know, you will not encounter somebody like Gandhiji or even Medha Patkar as the main protagonist in a television soap. okay, somebody who has sparked a revolution, who has mobilized people, who is trying to bring about a social change. Such people are never portrayed as heroes or role models through television soaps and serials, because if there is a social change, if the status quo is disturbed, then the social elite who are sponsoring the television serials, their position will also become shaky. So they want to consolidate their position in society. So they want everybody to be a consumer. Okay, so a hero will always wear branded, glasses and branded clothes and shoes, and will be upwardly mobile, in the sense ambitious to grow up the ladder of society. Not somebody who is not interested in career, more interested in serving the people. So such people are not portrayed as icons to the present generation through soaps and serials, because if more of such people are there, then these things will not get sold. Right. If people's lifestyle changes, then this entire consumerist pattern of society will come crumbling down. At least in India, even now, television is a family medium. Yeah. So therefore, the soaps and serials are all very family oriented. Yeah. You see a family, very family driven, because the entire family watches at dinner time or whatever time the family watches the television together. Maybe it brings the family together also in a way. Okay, so therefore, those are very family driven. Now, the story progresses more through dialogues than through pure action. Now, there are two reasons for this. One is television is an audio-driven medium. The second reason is that because there is always this pressure of deadline, you have to produce at least one program a week or so. So there is no chance of, action sequences, shooting action sequences and going outdoor and doing an elaborate shoot. Okay, so that's why it is all mainly indoor and dialogue based. Then that's easier to shoot. Shooting gets over faster. So that's why the story unfolds mainly through dialogue, more through dialogue than through action. And shooting is confined to limited locations. Okay, so it may be a villa and a home, or maybe just an outdoor park or a home, something like that. Just 2-3 locations. You don't see too many locations in one particular episode. And intertextuality is woven into the narrative, which means that not only you are referring to the earlier episodes, but you are constantly referring to the other things that are happening on television, like other news and current affair things that are happening on television, or any other famous advertisement, very popular advertisement that is repeatedly coming on television. There is always a cross reference of that. And then a badly produced series is stretched like rubber. What can be told in 5 minutes, you take 15 minutes to say that. You just waste the time to just stretch the
same shot is repeated again and again in edit.
So like that again and again, or some other useless details are added which do not add to the narrative. So like that, it is infinitely stretched. Okay, so it's an ongoing thing. It goes on and on and on. Okay, and the climax comes much later. But within each episode, there are a number of points of crisis. Within each episode, there are many points of crisis and mini resolution to those crises also.
Keep the viewers engaged.
To keep the viewers engaged. The role of television stars, as you yourself said about Tulsi, that television stars, if movie stars belong to the starry firmament, means they are larger than life and not unreachable by the common man. Television stars are much more down to earth. Okay, that okay, they are approachable. Maybe one day in some live show, you may also go to the studio, like Amitabh Bachchan also. You can, if you are part of KBC, you might meet Amitabh Bachchan also, and share the same sitting space with him. So like that, so television stars are approachable, but they become famous in their television persona. And there are some movies like Raghu Romeo, a Hindi film Raghu Romeo, where the main protagonist simply refused to believe that Neetaji, which he saw in one particular serial, is actually somebody called Reshma and not Neetaji at all. Okay, he took that lady to be Neetaji, and she cannot be anything other than Neetaji.
मेरा घर, मेरा खाना, मेरे कपड़े और मेरे सामने तोते की तरह रटे जा रहे हैं नीताजी, 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 नीताजी।
रुक, देख, तू मारना चाहती है मुझे?
हाँ, मेरे साथ ऐसे बदसलूकी क्यों कर रहा है तू?
So these are some of the characteristics of scripting for soaps and serials. But the thing to be kept in mind is that when you are given a particular text to develop into soap, say for example Godfather. So Godfather, you have a film also, Godfather 1, 2, 3, the films, you have a television series also. But when you adapt it to for a television series, then you have to break it up like that. Break up the narrative into these half-hour slots or 1 hour slots like that. The first job will be to fragment the narrative into
small parts.
Into say 26 parts or whatever they say. Then you calculate, okay, in the first episode, who are the characters that I am introducing? Okay, you have to introduce a number of characters. It cannot be just 2-3 characters. You have to introduce a number of characters. So who are the characters I am introducing? What are their personal crises in life? From where the various points of crisis, say critical situations could develop. So like that, you do that calculation first, okay, and you say, okay, this is the thing that is going to happen in this episode 1. These are the critical moments that will come in this episode. Then from one of those critical moments will propel it to episode number 2, and this is going to happen. So
Yes.
that flow chart kind of thing you first prepare, and then you start writing the script. And when you are writing even that half-an-hour episode also, you have to put 2 commercial breaks, and those commercial breaks also have to come at the critical moment so that people are eager to see, know more immediately after the commercial break what's happening. They want
Cliffhanger things.
Huh?
Cliffhanger situations.
Yeah, cliffhanger situation kind of thing. So you have to inject a crisis quite often into the narrative when you are scripting for soaps.
I think if you are stretching out a movie into a TV serial, every character inside a TV serial should be explained completely, because you are taking so much time to show the story. So every character should be explained why they are doing what their background is and everything else. So it is also required, I guess.
But it's seen that the character's traits, okay, generally for what happens that if you are saying that when you actually to detailedly explain before, but sometimes say that we discover some new traits again and again in television shows. Something which was not there, suddenly it came up.
Yeah. Like that particular character, you had earlier never seen her doing, going to dance parties. Suddenly she started going to, like that.
Just for the sake of making it into a TV serial, you're inserting these characters.
Yeah, exactly.
That happens.
Also, by the way, this structure that you said, that following the dividing the episodes into 26 number episode, deciding each of the episodes, planning them according to the plots, and developing the character, introducing the character. Does it really happen in Indian television soaps or mostly in international soaps?
No, at least the first 26 episodes you can plan out. After that, maybe as the show goes on, you keep innovating and you keep writing. But at least the first 26 episodes, you have to. There is an ample scope for planning. Foreign serials, these are all available on the net. Have you been tracking any of these foreign serials?
Few of them, very few of them.
Which one? Tell me.
Recently, I was seeing Dexter long time back.
Acha.
Then CSI.
Breaking Bad.
Not Breaking Bad, I see. I am interested in watching Game of Thrones, but till now I didn't get time to watch Game of Thrones.
So now that your exams are over, I suggest you watch this Game of Thrones and see, because there they spend a lot of money. On each episode they spend
following Vikings on History Channel presently. That's quite good.
Yeah,
Vikings.
Exactly.
The production value of any of these international TV serials are much more than we have.
And that is what Yash Raj Films is actually trying to achieve. That they take the television production standard also to an international
Yeah, because
level.
Ultra HD TVs are now available to everyone.
Yeah. So anyway, it has been an interesting discussion and a recommendation to viewers that you also catch up with some of the contemporary foreign television series that are available on the internet, and then we can have later on, we can have an online discussion on that. So thank you very much. Thank you, students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.